Greetings. Today on the bench, we are joined by Mindstrong Harvey, founder, CEO of the Mindstrong Project. Many of us may not have heard of the Mindstrong Project, but if you were a pro athlete talking about performance, breathwork, contrast therapy, sauna, Wim Hof, or any combination of any of these, I can pretty much guarantee you that you would be well tuned to Harvey Martin and the Mindstrong Project. The thing is, Harvey is a very humble and low-key guy about his practice and his company. He, like many of my friends for some odd reason, fall into more of the camp of witness relocation program than major social media marketers. And I can't speak for my other friends on the witness relocation program, but Mindstrong Harvey has good reason to be low-key. The work he does with pro athletes is by reputation only. And by extension, his marketing is defined by the proven performance measures from his clients. In a world where literally every second counts and where the slightest margin, the smallest incremental improvement in performance can mean playing in front of tens of thousands of people or sitting on the bench, from being signed to a big contract or relegated to the taxi squad, from being hero to, well, I'm still trying. Well, I don't know what your day job is, but to operate with this kind of pressure must require the utmost tuning, both mentally and physically. Pro athlete performance and well-being is the space where Mindstrong Harvey operates. So we talk about brick and mortar in what we call the tree and lake location. The Mindstrong training is all about the highest performing athletes in the world in nature, a training system outdoors, physical movement, yoga, exertion training, cold training, sauna. As Mindstrong Harvey says, wherever I go, sauna will be a part of my life. And in Minnesota, it is way colder. The temperature extremes are super extreme. I mean, we can go from 0 degrees Fahrenheit to 100 degrees Fahrenheit in just a matter of a few months. So you will hear in this podcast about a tree and lake location for the Mindstrong Project. So when you train professional athletes, they are on a level of celebrity. They have financial freedom and they are young. They don't have an opportunity to experience the buildup. They go from 0 to 1 right away. Mindstrong Harvey is there to guide them. He has earned this level of respect within the small family of professional athletes. The athletes share Mindstrong Harvey with other athletes. A professional athlete lives so against nature. They travel, they fly, they sit in hotel rooms, and when you can give them the most natural training environment, they appreciate simple systems, the connection with nature. Sauna and nature is bigger than all of us. A deep respect with nature. Nature is the only system that can bring us to our own personal truth. Body, adapting to the cold. If you burn fuel too much, you become an emotionally reactive human. The limbic part of your brain, the front of our brain, the prefrontal cortex is the rational part of our brain. In the cold, we are breathing less and living in the front of our brain. And you'll hear Mindstrong Harvey talk about this. You are training your physiology to train your psychology. So enough from me. Let's hear it from Mindstrong Harvey at the controls. This show is brought to you by Urban Wing. Urban Wing is a Minnesota, USA-based artisan craft shop specializing in custom-designed cedar products. In addition to their best-selling cedar patio heater and umbrella tables, I am a big fan of Urban Wing's elegantly designed, patent-pending knobless sauna vent covers. They are easy to install, give you infinite control over fresh air while sitting on your sauna bench, which drastically helps improve your sauna's ventilation and performance. As readers of Sauna Times are well aware, ventilation is one of the holy trinity elements for good sauna, the other two being heat and steam. Also, a great gift for the sauna lover could be a pair of Urban Wings Sauna Times collaborated backrests. The cool thing about these traditional style backrests is that they can be configured a few different ways: upright for sitting and long ways for laying down on the bench. Additionally, the Sauna Pro can lock one backrest into the other, creating a relaxed recline, which has been known to increase your bench time and reduce low bench Larry tendencies by 15%. I've sat in hundreds of different saunas, and these backrests nail it. To learn more about these Urban Wing products and to order, please visit www.urbanwingco.com. 100% of the proceeds of your purchase go to a former corporate soldier who is building a craft business where he never has to fill out a TPS report again. www.urbanwingco.com. Now on to the show. Well, we all know Sauna Talk is best on the sauna bench, and I'd like to welcome Mindstrong Harvey to the controls. Mindstrong, welcome to Sauna.
Hey, man. Thanks for having me, as always.
I wanted to dive into a couple of real important topics, at least on my list, and I know listeners of Sauna Talk will very much identify with it. It's always great to begin with a story. Can you tell us how you first got into breath work and cold exposure?
Yeah, it's a great start. I got into breath work seriously, like committed to it in 2015. I committed to it individually, and then I committed to it in my career probably that winter, maybe the spring of 2016. I started looking into breath and meditation and some modalities when I played professional baseball and college baseball for a few years. So I probably the start of breath probably got intriguing to me. We'll say 2010. So it's not like I got into it in 2015 and just didn't know what I was starting with. Had some baselines, but yeah, that was really the start. I did it individually in 2015, and then I paired that with cold. And then D-Don, who I don't know if has he been on Sauna Talk?
Yeah, man. D-Don interviewed me after my trip to Finland in 2019. Okay. Daniel Wilson by name.
Yep. So Daniel Wilson, he was the one who kind of paired me up with cold and heat. He was doing wood burning saunas that I believe you influenced on him a bit, and then he had one in his backyard. That was kind of how, again, that trio hit really at the same time.
Was it a light bulb moment, or you came into the heat through the cold? In other words, sauna. You discovered sauna because you were doing cold exposure. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yep. I was doing cold exposure because it's easier, I think, to get access to it. Right. You have a shower, you can do cold. If you have a sink, you can do cold. Even
you live in Minnesota.
I live in Minnesota. You can do cold. Yeah. So
right.
Yeah, so for me, the cold was just because I had access to it. So it was always morning routine. I did breath work, and then I followed that up with a cold shower. I was doing Wim Hof's, I think he does like a 30 or 60-day cold shower challenge that you can just look at online. So I just did that. And then once I got pretty consistent with it, I made it my own and started adding the times. Obviously, you can buy a Rubbermaid 100-gallon, 150-gallon tub online and get it sent to your house, or go pick one up at Home Depot or anything of the above. So I did that, and cold was just accessible, and D-Don had a sauna at his house, and he also had a cold tub. So that was like a celebration when I got to sauna.
Right on.
You know?
You, it was more than a celebration, really. This is your career. I mean, tell listeners about the Mindstrong Project and what you're doing now. Can you give us a quick flavor of it?
Yeah, I mean, in short, it is my career. I do human performance coaching, so I'm an individual coach to professional athletes, anyone in high stress, high pressure demand environments. Example would be a CEO, entrepreneur, extreme athlete, Olympians, anything in that realm is pretty much who I work with on a day-to-day basis. And then at a larger scale, I'll go and work with organizations. So this past year, I worked with the San Francisco Giants, had an awesome year with them. We led the major leagues in wins for regular season. We ended up clinching the National League West. That was awesome. And we did a lot of these similar things that I'm sure we'll talk about with them last year. But yeah, that I do that either globally, larger scale with organizations, or I do with an individual. But the core of what I'm trying to do is teach someone how to train their nervous system and strengthen their physiology through environmental stressors. Anytime if I ever say environmental stress, it's typically a sauna heat or a cold. Now you can do heat with hot tubs or, the steam rooms or anything like that. But what I use specifically is a sauna, and that's where I'm at.
And you, not only do you specifically use sauna, Harvey, but correct me if I'm wrong, but you are a huge proponent of wood-fired.
Yeah. Can
you tell us about that and why?
Yeah, so I'm huge into wood fire. I think I saunaed my whole life without knowing what sauna was, in my opinion. And what I mean by that is I've been jumping in a sauna wasn't something that I thought was unique until I got into a wood fire sauna, especially up here in Minnesota with people like yourself who build them and seeing the uniqueness and the art that went into it. I'm an appreciator of individual art to begin with. I mean, just as a person, I think that that's like really fascinating for myself, and then to be around people who do that, who make art. It doesn't have to just be sauna building. Anyone who's an artist in their own regards, I think is fascinating to be around. Why I say that is because I when I was in middle school and in high school and trained as an athlete, I went to gyms across America that had sauna, so it's not like I didn't know what a sauna was or the sensation of a sweat in a hot room. But yeah, when I got into wood fire, I wasn't necessarily looking at it as my direct profession just yet, like I said, in 2015. But the feeling that I got of it was so much deeper than any other heat I had experienced. It was something that I actually felt change the chemistry of my body. And so when I would get out of it, I actually felt different. The way in which I explain my own difference, I feel human. When I get out of a wood fire sauna, I feel very natural. I feel very in touch with myself. And I think the heat, we talk about it a lot, but it's just a denser heat. It just sits deeper into your body. And you look at other different types of systems. I mean, it's kind of similar to like a cryotherapy in a cold tub. A cryotherapy is skin related. It's very short, it's very quick, and it's not inside nature. Like that temperature and wind burst doesn't exist. So you can't get it unless you go to a cryotherapy. Whereas like a cold lake is the cold lake. It is that. That's what I like about the wood. This is kind of a little bit more esoteric, if you will, but the thing I like about the wood is that it's built by the artist. You make the heat. You feel the heat. You respect and appreciate the heat. And it is that heat. If you go into a wood-burning sauna, whatever the degree is, that is the degree. So it just is very true in my experience. It's Beautiful. A very true experience.
Lovely. Thank you for that. That's great, Harv. Wow. There's a few things to unpack on that. But the one as a transition is the Mindstrong Project. And first of all, I don't know what it is about my friends, but a lot of them are on witness relocation program. I'm going to put you on the list.
Yeah.
Because you confide in me a little bit about what you're up to. And if my question is no comment or follow me in 6 months, that's a fair answer. The question is brick and mortar, the Mindstrong Project. Can you share a little bit either about your intentions, your plans, or what's in the works for the physical location for your training facility?
Yeah, that's awesome. I think, the politically correct answer is to say in the works.
Okay.
And catch me in a couple months or a year from now. But I think the thing that I feel comfortable speaking about is we've trained, historically, Mindstrong has trained the best athletes on the planet in nature. I mean, if you follow us at all, we train outdoors. When guys come to me at first, it's a little alarming when you tell an NHL hockey player your summer weight room is going to be in this park with a wood-fired sauna, and you're going to jump in the lake afterwards, or even doing that in the winter. But I think where we're headed is we're basically building out a brick and mortar where you will feel the principles of nature, and that being outdoors, and that'll be a training system that'll cover strength conditioning, movement, yoga, natural movement, these sort of things, and then obviously physiological control being the heat and the cold. We're not there yet. That's in the process. So
you're in the land acquisition process.
Yeah, so I can't necessarily.
But you don't have the money.
depths.
You don't have the money raising. You have that hurdle accomplished. Am I revealing there?
I don't think you're revealing because I'm not throwing the names necessarily.
No, but you're funded.
We're there. Yeah, we're good. We're ready to go.
And this is a compliment to you and the Mindstrong Project. Is just because you have the coin doesn't mean you're dropping it and spending it. You're looking for the best nature facility. And is it Minnesota, or are you casting the net wider in potential locations? Or
I think that the goal would be to go, I mean, I said this a few years ago on a podcast, it's always been to go global. I've never shot myself too short just because I don't personally see the point in doing that. So it's like, if you're going to do something, go as far as it possibly can go, right? So I mean, look at it as a global situation where we can impact sports at a large scale. I think first you got to do something in a territory, which would be Minnesota, and I think
for the brick and mortar, or the nature, the tree and lake,
tree and lake,
the tree and lake location. But that does make sense because you've always been. You're not from Minnesota, right?
No, I'm not.
Where are you from?
I'm from Michigan originally.
Right on. Well, you're no stranger to cold in Michigan.
No,
I'm not. I'm no stranger to cold in Buffalo, New York, where I spent the first 20 years of my life. So we have that commonality of, cold weather, 4-season upbringing. But Minnesota takes things to a deeper level in terms of the extremes of climate, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
It's a special place that way.
Yeah, well, that's why I want to keep it here. Depending on wherever I go, wherever I land, I think wherever I go, sauna will be a part of my life forever as far as I see it. I don't see why it wouldn't be. So I think if I'm ever anywhere else, sauna will be there. And I will be doing what I do, so it'll be where I go to a degree. But I think to have a home here in Minnesota is, like you just said, Minnesota is colder than Michigan. I lived in Ohio, I've lived in Wisconsin, I've lived in a lot of these states to spend the winter there. And Minnesota is, in my opinion, not even close. It's way colder.
Well, what temperature is it outside right now?
It's 8 degrees, right?
Early December,
degrees,
single digits, in a classic Minnesota sunny, cold.
Yeah.
I got to ask, again, I know you're on the Witness Relocation Program, but you say that you have trained names. Let me ask you this question. So in your last 10 one-on-one sessions, how many of those 10 would listeners to Sauna Talk know by name?
Oh, man, great question. If you're an avid sport fan of the NHL, Major League Baseball, or the NFL, probably know all 10 of them.
Yeah. Are you ever comfortable when people ask who you train? I mean, how do you respond to a question like that?
I respond. I always, if athletes promote me on their own brands or in their own interviews or anything like that, then I feel comfortable sharing about them. If they don't, then I typically try to respect that relationship. I think when you train a professional athlete who is, the thing about pro athletes is, one, they're on a scale of celebrity when they're at that level, especially when they're well known in the country, but two, they're also financially well off, and that's very well understood. So there's a lot that comes with that. And then they're also young. They're also coming into this fame and status and financial freedom at a very young age. So they get bombarded. They don't have the opportunity to experience the build-up. They basically go from 0 to 1 right away. And so as a coach or as their mentor, I'm largely in place to honor that and to to help guide them and then help be a support system for them. So it's like anything, they're just normal people. So I earn a lot of that respect inside the internal family of athletes. When you work at that level with high level athletes, it's a small world because you work through word of mouth. So I don't actively use my athletes to get other athletes publicly or to do anything else publicly. It happens in-house.
Right on.
So they share you with other people.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I think when you work in my profession with high-level athletes, you do keep it quiet. Just because it doesn't need to be spoken necessarily, because they're working for you.
True.
And then, but if you're at a large scale like the Giants, I mean, I worked publicly with the San Francisco Giants, so I mean, you can just look at their roster and, you know, I coached them type deal. So I mean, I think that's very fair to talk about. So that's fair.
So, how about a hockey player? Is again, putting you on the spot, is there a hockey player that has promoted Mindstrong Project?
Yeah, I think the one that you and I are close with is Nick Bukestad with the Wild. He's on his 9th or 10th year in the NHL. First round pick out of Minnesota. The reason why I use him is that we run Becoming Wild, which in Minnesota is a really cool documentary type video that they do on the Minnesota Wild NHL players. And Buger and I, Bukes has me on there, and we do breath and cold exposure. So we actually do the lake, we do the breathing, they show that, we kind of talk about that a bit. I think that's really cool to see that, be able to scale it and get a little bit larger in that sense. But yeah, the hockey community, as you know, we've hung out with numerous hockey guys and sauned here with many NHL guys.
Thanks to you. And, you know, I respect that. I respect that. I guess you could call it solidarity and not, you know, sharing and all that. So and plus I could be their father in age, you know, so, you know, but I dig it. I love what you said about that, about these pro athletes. I know it must be tempting at times to name drop. You've always been cool with me about that, and I've always respected that about you and not blabbed it. But for the listeners, I think what I'd like to say, and Harvey would never say this, is that I'm sitting on the sauna bench with a pro who teaches and coaches pros, and it's so special to have him part of this authentic quality sauna world, because these folks that he is coaching and bringing in through his practice are getting hip to sauna, and really good sauna. Yeah, they know the difference. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the specifics of why we train together, is because I think we always say once you see it, you'll never unsee it. And it's a concept of once you feel it, you'll never unfeel it. I think once you feel the authentic heat, there's a standard to it now, and there's a feeling to it. And so that's very deep in our practices. I mean, I teach nature-based principles. Everything centers around breathing, movement, nutrition, sleep, in nature. You know, nature has extremes of climate change and temperature change, and the sun goes up and the sun goes down, and all that impacts our lives. If you look at a professional athlete, they're already talented. They're already good enough to play where they're at. What's going to be the test of time for them is sustaining the lack of nature they get. They live so against nature because they travel so much, they fly, they're playing at night all the time when the sun's down. And so when you can give them the most natural, authentic training modalities, natural wood-burning heat, in the heat category being the core of that, you change things, and you find guys adapt better, and guys appreciate things better. And when athletes can appreciate those simple systems, they see it in their day-to-day lives in season. Beautiful. And that's when you see athletes really become healthy.
God, that is so powerful. There's so much to that. I just have to tell you, I relate. You know, I have this wood-fired sauna in my backyard. You've been in my sauna on Pine Island on Lake Vermilion. And that connection with nature that the Finns are, you know, although Russians, Latvians, Estonians, sauna in nature is bigger than all of us. And to take that out of the clinical health club or basement and bring it outside amongst the trees and the fresh air in nature, it does something to you at a deep level, right? And I think it's tapping some of the method of your coaching, right? Like there's something different about training outside, training in nature, feeling nature in its extremes, and isn't that a foundation principle of what you're up to?
Yeah, because nature, what I tell to guys, so I get guys that I've like Bukestad's a simple example. I've been training him for a few years. So, I mean, if you get him and I in the same room or he's here with us, he's already with us. You know, you're not trying to explain these foundational principles. You might change some certain methods. Maybe the timing needs to be longer, or the dosage needs to be higher or lower, whatever. But he grasps the principles of nature. Where I'm going with that is that when I first work with somebody who's in their 20s or mid-20s who's been training, have been a best, they're hard to reach right away because they have a lot of people that have influenced them. Yeah. They're also the top of their sport. So there's not, you've got to be rather unique to grab their attention. And the thing that I tell them when I first work with them, every guy, first day, is I say to them, I'm going to guide you in some of these principles. I'm going to teach you some of the foundations of the way in which nature can guide you, but you'll never beat nature. And that's the most powerful part of the teaching.
That's great.
Is that this sauna, if you try to beat it, it's going to kill you. And same thing with the cold. And I think that deep, deep respect of nature, you start really impacting your own personal self-awareness. You really start to understand intuitively like who you are. And nature is the only, in my experience, the only system that can do that for us. A human can't tell another human the exact answer. It's always an evolving thing.
Beautiful.
Where nature can bring us to our own personal truth.
You answered the question I was going to ask because I was reaching for a name that many people would know, and I wanted to use Nick because you mentioned his name, so he's out there. And my question was, and I really think you nailed it, so forgive me, but how has your teachings and your coaching changed someone at the peak of their career, Nick, out there in the dog-eat-dog world of a roster spot? Has he, all of your athletes, how have they circled back to you and said, what specifically has your practice helped them in their professional
question. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, push. I think. So if you look at athletics or any student of that matter, and just in growing up, as like in sport specifically, most athletes start at a young youth age. They're typically 4, 5, 6 years old. They're picking up balls and bats and tennis rackets and all these sort of things, and they're entertaining their sport. Yeah. And then as they evolve, by the time they hit college, like you kind of have an idea if you're going to play professionally, what type of college you're at. It becomes a business, like really, really quick.
Yes. Sorry to interject, but certainly. I mean, what you've seen here is the loss of specialization of sports. I mean, by age 10 or whatever, they're locked in. They're locked to their one sport.
Yeah, they're locked.
And now they're going to get a coach, and they're going to get worked through the process from that age. So go ahead.
No, it's good. I mean, because what happens because of that, the byproduct of that is external praise. You see people at the mind of a child and behaviorally is so impacted at young ages. They don't necessarily have the conscious space that adults have. They don't have the problem-solving abilities that we have, the critical thinking abilities that adults have. That's not saying adults are good at it. That's just pure neuroscience. That's the way in which the brain develops. So when you have underdeveloped brains that are taking in inputs from external influences, that the external influence teaches the children that praise and achievement is success. So what happens is if I get a scholarship, I'm good. If I get to the pros, I'm good. If I get my contract, I'm good.
These measures.
Yes, these measurements. And you find, in my experience, 20 to 30-year-old men and females who have lived their entire lives off external praise. Yeah. And what they're actually trying to do is figure out internal fulfillment. And so you're trying to teach them through, again, nature how to get there. Beautiful. And again, because this is a one-on-one sport, this is a you versus you. When you're in the heat and the cold and you're breathing and you're spending time in this space, it's you getting to know you, which is internal.
Lovely. So speaking of external praise, I'm looking at my clock. We've been in the hot room for 23 and a half minutes. Yeah. You guys are rocking. I'm going to follow you out, and we're going to keep talking because I don't know how to press pause on this. So we're getting live TV, sauna talk.
I love it. Well, it's good that we just did a 20-plus first round.
Yeah, with real heat. Do you want to plunge? Or not a plunge, but you want to dump cold water over your head? And we're going to talk about the physiology of that and what that's all about.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, this is all live TV. Again, it's 6 degrees outside in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Yeah. There's a slight ice on the water bucket. One of the things I love in winter is the frost-free faucet, where we can fill up this 5-gallon water bucket, and we're standing outside, steam billowing, light snow on the ground. Where does your mind go when you're looking at this ice bucket and dumping water over your head? Can you coach us through that?
Yeah, so in your mind, cold is perceived as largely at its core death, right? We're trying to stay away from the cold, which is why we get so ingrained in our beautiful warmed homes and our winter jackets and our hats and our gloves, and that's what we've been doing forever. And we're trying to avoid discomfort. But the irony of it is that when you get into the discomfort, your body adapts insanely. Mentally, you start to become a better problem solver. You actually turn your breathing rate down outside of the training. You and I will breathe less in our day-to-day because of this.
Right on.
Which means that we're already better at handling stimulation. We're already better at handling modern stress already.
Stress on all levels. Like we're incurring physical stress through the temperature extreme, but it does it directly translate to mental stress? Meaning I'm in traffic, I'm late for a meeting, someone cut me off. Is there a direct correlation physical to mental stress?
Yeah, the mental stress is that if you burn fuel all the time, breathing too much, living stressed out day to day, continuously stressing your body, not getting to a natural source, not to what we just talked about in the sauna, you become an emotionally reactive human. You live, it's called your limbic system in the brain. It's your emotional center. You live in that center, which makes you emotional. Whereas what we're training right now is to live in the front of our brain, which is called our prefrontal cortex, which makes us rational. And that's like the human gift. That's how humans creatively make art, which we talked about already.
Right,
and when you are overstressed or overtired or you're burning it too hard, you're away from nature, you lose the cortex and you live as a limbic. It's a survival response, and you need to keep your body safe. So your body and your mind will be reactionary in things like traffic. Whereas if you're not reactionary, the perception of that threat or stress won't even hit you. Right. You'll just be in traffic in your car.
Yeah. Well, could it be so simple as when we stress our bodies, our mind adapts?
Yeah, you're basically training your physiology to train your psychology. The stronger the physiological sense of a human, or the stronger nervous system, the more they have access to those cognitive senses, like the cortex.
So I just got back from Finland, and thank you for that. I love that you have that. That the physiology is the key, and it has to do with the mind.
Yeah,
right.
Okay. But we're training the physiology.
So part of that is, as you know, I just got back from Finland, and Avanto, cold water, ice water swimming is a big deal over there.
Yeah.
And children ice swim. I had on my most recent podcast, like, people on the street. This 83-year-old guy was talking about how much he loves sauna, and I just put the microphone on him. I didn't even pre-ask him anything. And then he brings up cold water swimming, and I said, well, when's the last time you've done that? And he goes, about 2 hours ago. This is in November in the Baltic in Finland. So where I'm leading up to is that we are anesthetized to think shopping mall, 70 degrees, cold is cold, bundle up and avoid it.
Right.
But the Finns, by analogy, it's part of the culture to cold swim. And they make a different connection physically and mentally to the cold water. It's medicine.
Yeah.
It's building the immune system and this wonderful thing, sisu. Sisu is the Finnish word, like inner strength, fortitude, power, kind of thing. So culturally, there's so much more ahead of the game.
Yeah,
we have to teach it. We have to teach these athletes, you in this case, to get outside of that comfort zone.
Yeah. That's
so
lovely.
that's my soliloquy about it.
Oh, I'm in. I'm in. I'm all in.
Yeah, I know. It's good. So what else? And actually, I should ask myself, for you, what else? We have this wonderful treat. You guys are listening. We have Mindstrong Harvey at the controls, teaching pro athletes, coaching pro athletes. Sauna is how would you use the word critical part of your training? I mean, is it there all the time?
Yeah, it's weekly for sure. I don't think there's a week goes by where we don't use the sauna. So it's there. We take some days off depending on how hard guys are hitting it in travel, because they do need to focus on strength training and things that general pop doesn't need to focus on. But it's definitely there. We use it in recovery, strength, and mental strength. And all that.
So just a couple quick rapid fire questions, and we're gonna follow up. I appreciate you being on Sauna Talk. Yeah. This is, I was looking for my microphone because I brought my mic during our last visit, but I wanted to allow you to host me on your podcast, which I really appreciated being on, and you folks can listen to that. But I wanted to capture this moment. Harvey came back. It's only been 48 hours since we've been on the bench. Yeah. And so this is the intent, and I want to get it out of the way. So you guys can hear Mindstrong Harvey talking about the Mindstrong Project and the processes, but a couple rapid fire questions.
Shoot.
Mobile sauna. You own a kick-ass mobile sauna. If you could bring a mobile sauna anywhere in the world, where would you go? What's the first place that comes to mind?
The Boundary Waters.
Perfect. And if you could sauna with anybody in the world, dead or alive, past, present, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Well, outside of you, I think, Joe Rogan.
Wonderful.
I'm still there with him. I think I said him a while back. Well, it'd be Wim Hof for sure. But,
there you go. Well, we got to put the dream team together.
Yeah, let's get Wim back.
Okay. So staying with you, another question is: you woke up today and you knew you were going to take a sauna.
Yeah.
As you think about a day of sauna, what is your most favorite moment? The thinking of it, the chopping of wood, the carrying of water, the rise up, round one, the first lolu or steam on the rocks, all the way to when you go to bed at night. If you were to really distill it to a moment, what is a moment of wow, this is it?
Yeah, that's an awesome question. Each moment has its own beautiful part to it, right? I think dinner after it is amazing. Sleep after that is amazing, but also the rounds all have their own character to it, which is amazing. I think the build up to it is if I'm alone, the build up of a sauna is pretty special.
Beautiful.
I think that's my favorite. Kind of building the fire, watching it start, and seeing it heat up, and you just have that anticipation to it.
Yeah,
that's probably my favorite.
Beautiful. Let's say you're coaching a couple players that have never been in a sauna, or if they have, even worse, it's some shitty, workout place with a little
spa
toaster oven on the wall, and and you, what is most misunderstood about sauna that you would like those type of people less experienced with good sauna? What would you like what would you like to tell them?
Yeah, I'll use my most recent example. So I do go to a gym. My girlfriend has access to a gym, so I won't use the name, but I get to go to them because of her career. And I will go to them and work out and get lifts in throughout the week. And my most recent experience at a local gym was I went into the sauna to warm up because it was cold out, so I warmed up before I was going to go work out. And it was shut down because it said people were steaming the toaster oven of it. And it said not to steam the rocks.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like a very simple one that's very easy to disassociate from what a wood authentic sauna is that the steam is so much a part of the experience. So to take that away is already a huge difference.
It's a great answer. So I'd be remiss if I didn't put you on the spot and ask you, so the audience, these are people that are experiencing hot and cold. Can you take us out with a quick breathing exercise, or a teaser, a Mindstrong Project teaser?
Yeah.
I like this one a lot, and you guys can mess with both. So if I'm trying to calm down, example being maybe late in a sauna round or early in a cold round, you extend your exhales. So as simple as that sounds, ideally everything is through the nose entirely. If you ever want to do this, use the nose as an inhale, the mouth as an exhale. But if you're trying to calm down, you just extend exhales. So that exhale, the exhale is going to be double the length of the inhale.
Now, sorry to interrupt you, but this extending of the exhale, is the purpose to try to get more CO2 out of your system, or just to slow things down?
Just to slow things down. The rhythm of that extended exhale lowers your heart rate. Your heart rate mimics the breath. So if I can slow the exhale, the breathing down, my heart rate will go down with that. And then also, it's called parasympathetic tone. Any extension of the exhale puts your nervous system into a position of calm and regenerative. So that's the purpose of extending the exhale. If you're prepping, so let's say I'm starting rounds, or I'm going into the cold, or I'm trying to get my body going, you just do the opposite. You bring in double inhales, so lengthen the inhale and breathe out normal.
Can you do this right now? Give us an example of that.
Yeah, so if I'm going, let's say if I'm starting some rounds, I want to go fully in. That's going to be energy, alert. I'm doubling the inhale to the exhale.
Nice.
The exhale is natural.
Nice.
Now I want to calm. I'll use my mouth here so you guys can hear it and get some substance. I want to calm myself down when I'm in a cold. And all I'm doing is focusing on an extension of an exhale, and I'm just mentally following.
In this pace specifically is good for as you enter cold water.
Yeah, or you're in it. You just got it.
Or you just got in. Yeah. What I love, and again, another teaser on my podcast, or on your podcast, you alluded to the 5-15.
Yeah.
Can you share that one with us?
Yeah, I always use 5 breaths to get under control. So if I go into a cold tub, I take 5 breaths, however I want to take them. So if I'm breathing in and out through my mouth, if I'm into my nose, out my mouth, it doesn't matter. It's 5 breaths to control your breathing. When I say control your breathing, think of it as like a pendulum. You're just trying to be consistent rhythm in and out. Once those 5 are done, now I should be at all nasal breathing, nose in, nose out. And then in that system, I want to take 15 breaths, breathe as slow as I can, ideally hoping to get to 3 minutes total time by taking 5 breaths a minute. So I would be doing 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out.
And what I love about this is that there's no stopwatch. It's your own pace. It's your own body.
It's my own body.
It's the breath that is dictating the duration of the cold plunge.
Yeah, I mean, I think I told you this on Thanksgiving. It was 15 degrees out, and I jumped in the lake, and I did 15 breaths. And I will clock them in my car, or I'll have the phone out so that I see where I did it. But I never watch when I'm in it.
So you do a practice round when you're driving or something, so you know.
I shouldn't. So I'll have like a phone or a watch in the car, or tracking me right outside the water, and I'll do my 15 breaths. And then to do that, I just want to see where I'm at.
Right.
So that day the water was really cold, and I got out in 90 seconds.
Right.
Whereas 3 days later, it was 50 degrees.
But this car business is to give you a time to know, so you know.
Yeah. So I know.
Yeah. So there you go. That's a great lesson. So when I do Wim, this is totally unrelated, but it's timing. When I do Wim, I like 30 to 40 breaths, and I do count my breaths.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I count 10 as one finger.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, and I do when I get to 3, then I go by feel.
Yeah.
Because once I hit 3, if I get to 40, that's great. Sometimes 35 is good. I just kind of have an inner clock, but I'd love to get away of counting my breaths before holds. I don't know. I think counting breaths is a lot more than counting the clock.
Yeah, I mean, there's a mind side to that too, right? You're cognitively focusing on counting, which I would say it's great.
Yeah,
I would say that's awesome. I do 15 breaths in the cold
and I try to see, because there's some days where in 15 breaths I'll be in there for 4 minutes, so that means I'm breathing really slow.
Right.
Some days I do 15 breaths, like I just said, I'm in there for a minute and a half, so I'm breathing really fast.
Yeah.
And that way I know how I'm doing, like in terms of life. If I'm doing it really fast, well, maybe I didn't sleep good. You know, maybe I'm not eating well.
Yeah.
So, or maybe I'm not hydrated. It just gives you an indicator to how you're
so
doing.
So true. Oh, yeah. I'm so glad you said that. That is a really important thing. Not every day is the same. Right. So nor should we time it to try to be that way.
Yeah, never. Because again, it's nature. Lovely. Nature wins.
Lovely, brother. That is so great. Harv, I could keep going. Yeah. This is the danger with you and I. I was doing my rapid fire questions, trying to wrap it up. But each time we talk about something, I get more and more energized about collaborating with you. You are a founding board member of the Sauna Research Institute. What is that? What does SRI mean to you? And a second part of the question is, what specific goals and contribution do you have as a founding board member to the organization?
Yeah, I think for me, it's just it's camaraderie to begin with. It's more of people that I know that believe in something that I've felt and something that's impacted me. So I believe in that, the mission of SRI to begin with, just the purpose of it. What I personally want to see out of it and get out of it is I want to attach that to the commitment to bringing nature to professional athletes. And professional sports is driven through research. Well, pretty much everybody is at this point, I guess. But professional sports is so driven to have solid data and research and connection. So I think what SRI is doing is bringing what we believe and what we see to the forefront of that. And it gives me an opportunity to try to bring that to, again, larger scale.
That's so well said. When I had Wim on the podcast, he pulled me aside and he said, I can go climb Mount Kilimanjaro in my boxer shorts and be a freak.
Yeah.
But it's all about clinical studies.
All about it.
And he says, I'll drop whatever needs to be dropped in my day-to-day to participate in clinical studies. Because that's the proof of the methodology and the modalities and all that stuff. People need proof.
Yeah, you got to move the needle forward, and that's what I think SRI is doing.
Yeah, lovely said. Mindstrong Harvey at the controls. Any final words? Take us out.
Oh man, let's cheers. Cheers, guys.